July 20th, 1999.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
I was 14 years old. It was my birthday.
I wasn't born yet.
I stayed up all night.
That's one small step for man.
I thought it was fabulous.
We were very excited.
It's still spectacular.
One giant leap for mankind. For every American, this has to be the proudest day of our lives.
Tonight, one giant leap, 30 years later.
From ABC News, this is Nightline. Reporting from Washington, Ted Koppel.
There are some events, some discoveries or achievements that are more than simply historic. D-Day was historic. The Battle of Hastings was historic, as was the development of penicillin and the invention of the combustion engine. Huge events that changed the shapes of our lives. But man's first landing on the moon was the stuff of legend. That doesn't mean it was more important. In some respects, it is still difficult for some of us to understand what was gained by it. And yet, slipping the bonds of Earth's gravitational pull, putting a spacecraft into orbit around the moon, and then sending a separate vehicle with 2 men on board to the moon's surface itself, that was incredible. It was also far more dangerous than most of us suspected at the time. Landing on the moon was one thing. That seemed like the ultimate achievement. And we marveled to see first Neil Armstrong and then Buzz Aldrin bouncing awkwardly around in those cumbersome spacesuits. But the really extraordinary accomplishment was getting them both off the moon again. What most of us never realized was that there was no backup plan. If the lunar module hadn't made it back up to the command ship Columbia, that would have been it. Armstrong and Aldrin would have died there. I'll be talking to Buzz Aldrin in a few minutes, but it occurred to us that many of you weren't even alive 30 years ago today. There's no way to recapture the heart-stopping excitement of that day, but you sure do want to see the pictures.
10, 9, ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower cleared.
Here we got a roll program.
Neil Armstrong reporting the roll and pitch program, which puts Apollo 11 on a proper heading.
The important achievement of Apollo was a demonstration that humanity is not forever chained to this planet, and our visions go rather further than that, and our opportunities are unlimited.
11, Houston, could you describe what you're looking at, over? You're seeing Earth as we see it at our left-hand window.
My gut feeling was that we had a 90% chance of, or better, of getting back safely, and a 50% chance of making a successful landing.
30 feet down, 2.5, picking up some dust. 30 feet, 2.5 down, straight shadow. 4 forward, drift into the right a little. Contact light. Okay, engine stop. APA at a descent. Mode control both auto, descent engine command override off. Engine arm off. 413 is in. Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
Some of you are old enough to have experienced that first lunar landing. And I dare say in the 30 years since that time, you have never, ever had the same feeling that you had at that moment.
I'm at the foot of the ladder. Surface appears to be very, very fine-grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder.
I realized I was going to have to say something. But there wasn't anything very complicated when you just think about stepping off, why it seemed to follow.
That's one small step for man, one Biathlete for mankind.
I was in Hawaii. I was 14 years old. It was my birthday.
Sitting in front of the TV in the living room with my family.
I was 3 or so, and they woke me up, and I remember it, just a little tiny bit.
I was in Colombia, South America, and I was 5 years old. So I have no idea of the actual event happening.
It was certainly a coup for the United States to be able to reach the moon before our adversaries did.
Yes, indeed. They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes on the lunar surface.
Beautiful, just beautiful.
Of course, it was the result of competition between two systems, the socialist and the capitalist systems. But there was no damage to us, because really, we were the first in space. We opened up space. We were there first.
Of course, we'll always be proud of the fact that we were first, really. But we never pulled off a moon landing, unfortunately. And it was hard for us to understand how it happened that we were always ahead in space exploration, but couldn't land on the moon.
I was born in 1978, so it was before my time. But I'm still sorry that it wasn't a Russian cosmonaut who landed on the moon.
It takes about 2 or 3 paces to make sure that you've got your feet underneath you.
I think it is the first step by man to conquer the universe. It is a great leap for mankind, no matter who set foot on the moon.
I didn't know about it 30 years ago. The first I knew about it was in 1980 or so.
I don't have time to think about it.
Hello, Apollo 11, Houston, how did it go, over? Help to open up the LRL doors, Charlie. Roger, we got you coming home.
I wasn't even born yet. My mom was only about 12 years old.
I wasn't even thought of.
Some years ago, they used to say, we were reading about you in science class, and then it was, we were reading about you in history class, and now I think it's early American history.
With all these other news things happening now, it's like ancient history.
And aboard the deck of the Hornet, the entire crew in the pre-dawn darkness on the deck, straining to see the fireball.
Just for an instant, just for a brief instant. Then it went behind the cloud cover. No, you can still see it. You can see the red ball. That's the command module.
When the capsule hit the Earth's atmosphere, it was one big fireball, and it shot completely across the sky. And I said to myself, I'm looking up at this, I'm saying, boy, we blew this, because it looked completely like it was just going to the other side of the Earth.
For me personally, the most satisfying event was the final descent.
To do this and be a part of history makes me one of the proudest people ever to live. And I have a heritage for my grandchildren, and I feel very, very good about that.
This was the scene as the first astronaut was slung up.
What made it nice is we were able to touch the capsule, and it was like touching history. Something that you can say to your kids that I touched the capsule. You know, the first man on the moon. And it's just, you know, just exciting to know that we were able to do that because we weren't allowed to touch it. But we did anyway. And to this day, I'm happy we did. So it was good.
In a moment, the second man in history to set foot on the moon, and the writer whose book, A Man on the Moon, inspired Tom Hanks' series, From the Earth to the Moon.
This is ABC News Nightline, brought to you by the New York Times.
We explore the world of nature. We examine the nature of man. Science Times in the New York Times. Every Tuesday, we reveal life's most intriguing secrets. Is everything connected? The New York Times. Expect the world.
There comes a point when one more sequin will ruin the dress. When one more brushstroke will spoil the painting. There comes a point when anything more is simply more. Park Avenue by Buick. Power, comfort, unparalleled elegance. And now, Park Avenue is even more rewarding. It's It's luxury, pure and simple.
Wednesday, a moment captured in time. The story of how a boy said goodbye to his father on 2020 Wednesday.
Captain D's, please. Captain D's, please.
Wake up, Henry. You're safe.
Get into D's for our summer of shrimp.
Captain D's, please.
All summer long, dive into our fish and shrimp dinner. Mix it up with D's Shrimp Feast or crunch into our new chicken fried bite-sized shrimp, starting from just $3.99.
More, please.
And try our new golden batter dipped shrimp. It's making a big splash.
Make that a really big splash. Captain D's, please.
Just for Feet has the shoes you love most in the newest styles and colors. Like the Nike Air XL 90 Cross Trainer.
Wow.
And the Nike Pippin 3 basketball shoe.
Cool.
And the Nike International Triax running shoe.
This is great.
In fact, Just for Feet has shoes for all sports. Baseball, basketball, hiking, walking, soccer, wrestling, running, golf, tennis, football. Over 3,000 shoes in stock every single day.
It was precisely at this hour 30 years ago tonight that Buzz Aldrin became the second man in history to step onto the lunar surface. And he joins us here in our Washington Bureau, as does Andrew Chaikin, who's written about space exploration and astronomy for nearly 20 years, including an essay in the new book, Full Moon, a collection of NASA lunar photos. And I hope you'll forgive me, Andrew, if I spend the first couple of minutes talking to Buzz Aldrin. This is a great thrill. Especially to have you here tonight. And I wonder, as you were looking at some of that video, are you just watching historic video now, or does it bring it back for you?
Well, I've seen it many, many times. Each time is a little bit different when I notice something, concentrate on something, but it's nice to see, and it's nice to realize on these anniversaries that we were so fortunate to have been a part of that wonderful experience.
As you talk about fortunate and you talk about luck, we have been reading a great deal and hearing a great deal these last couple of weeks about that memorandum that Bill Safire drafted. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
The memorandum for the widows, your wife, Neil Armstrong's wife, in the event that getting back to the command ship didn't work. Talk about that for a moment. I mean, talk about it from the vantage point of right now. When you, I mean, had you ever seen that memo before or heard of it?
I don't think I had, but we may have had some hints that something like that did exist. But I'm not surprised that something like that comes out as we approach an anniversary and somebody wants to do some research. I am surprised that we pay so much attention to it, because any large organization that has a leader and an appropriate staff is going to have a staff that's going to prepare that leader for whatever eventualities may come about.
Oh, absolutely.
Whether successful or failures.
Right.
So the fact that someone, whether it's Frank or anyone else, had someone sort of brought about
something
to pick someone like Bill Safire to do that.
Right.
It doesn't surprise me at all. And
No,
I think his words were very appropriate. It's just that we didn't care that much about that particular issue.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to about. I agree with you. The memorandum, kind of obvious that would be written of certain historical interest right now. But I think what it brought to an awful lot of us, you clearly knew what the risks were. I'm not sure that the rest of us did. And so as you landed on the moon, when you and Neil Armstrong then were sort of cavorting around on the moon, and when you got back into your lunar module, did you have any discussion at all about, I hope this works, I know it's going to work, or was it just unspoken?
If we did, I'm sure it would have been in a joking fashion. If you have a concern about whether it's going to work, it's too late to think about it then. You should have thought about it months before and asked some questions of people.
Did you?
No. There was no way that anyone in the crew could assure themselves that everything was going to work properly. We had to rely on people who were well qualified to put all of that together. You have to have that faith that these people are going to do the best job that they can, just like they had the faith that we were going to do the best job that we possibly could. And that's why I think we're so spring-loaded to the be alert position. Everybody given that kind of an opportunity wants to look good. We want to look good too.
Andrew, talk for a moment about what the general awareness within NASA was of the dangers at that time.
You know, you have a whole sort of series of concentric circles. You know, that Buzz and Neil were at the center because they were the ones who were going to risk their lives if that engine didn't light. They were going to be stranded on the moon with no hope of rescue. Then you have the people who sort of designed the engine and know the intricate workings of it. And then you have the managers in NASA up in Washington who many a time during Apollo were sitting in the back row of mission control. They used to call it the Eagle's Nest, wringing their hands, or maybe not visibly, or you know, clenching their jaws at the risks that their agency was taking for the good of the national prestige. And forgive me, Buzz, if I paraphrase your own thoughts for you, but when I interviewed Buzz, I asked him that question. I said, how do you deal with the fact that you are trusting your lives to that one engine? Do you think about what happens if you don't get off the moon? And he said, why would I think about that? Why would I stack the deck against success when so much had been done to ensure success? In other words, yes, they took risks, but they were well-legislated risks. They were risks that had been thought out over a span of years. The engine that particular engine, out of many engines in Apollo, had been tested again and again and again, designed so that it was as simple as possible. Now, having said that, I have to tell you that when I interviewed Neil, I said, I've heard that you tried to get a system built into the engine so that you could manually actuate the valves, because, you know, it didn't have an ignition system. Right. As long as the fuels got into the chamber, it would fire, but that they couldn't do it for you. And he said, yeah, I did have some concern about the engine, and I did propose a manual system, and they couldn't come up with it in time. So you see that it's not monolithic. There are different feelings about it.
We've got to take a short break. When we come back, though, I want to talk to both of you about something that Russian lady mentioned in Red Square a few moments ago. The nature of competition and how that drove the project. Back with our guests in a moment.
Style. It hit me the minute I walked in. It oozed from the upholstery. It dripped from the chandeliers. Yeah, the air was thinner up there on the avenue. This dame was platinum all the way.
Sheer glamour in a seductively priced new collection.
Make yourself at home, she said. So I did.
Avenue from Ethan Allen. There's a sale on now.
My mom's a bank person. Fireman. My dad has this really important job with this big fancy office where he's the boss. He always eats lunch at these big fancy restaurants. And after he's done saving the world, we go home and play. I'd give him a 10. I drew a picture of you.
The 1999 Camry. Even heroes need a car.
Camcorder, $400. 3-hour tape, $7. Extra battery, $25. Home movies with Hank Aaron and Willie Mays. Priceless. Use your MasterCard and you could win 4 tickets to a '99 World Series game and sit with baseball's legends. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard, sponsor of the Major League Baseball All-Century Team.
Traveling through Arizona, we blew a front tire. It shot off the road, and I looked down at the ground. It is crawling with rattlesnakes.
It was unbelievable.
I pushed the OnStar button. Within seconds, the OnStar advisor pinpointed our location and sent a tow truck.
Call the paramedics.
Yeah, and kept talking, because we
hate snakes.
Yeah.
OnStar. During the OnStar Summer of Savings, get the OnStar phone-based system and installation at no extra charge when you prepay for a year of service. Call 1-800-OnStar-7.
Coming up.
When I heard that a son of an American legend passed away, for a quick second I thought it was you.
Politically Incorrect with Bill Maher coming up.
Our Rivergate Toyota tradition is back. It's our famous push, pull, or drag sale. This means we can offer you more for your trade-in than anyone else, and we even pay on the ones that, don't run. So yes, if you've got a car that you can't start or won't run, but you can get it to Rivergate Toyota, we'll trade for it. So get that old junker down here and turn it into money. That's the famous push, pull, or drag sale now, only at Rivergate Toyota, just south of Rivergate Mall on Gallatin Road in Nashville.
And we're back once again with Apollo 11 astronaut Buzz Aldrin and author Andrew Chaikin. Buzz, the competition with the Soviet Union at that time, how important was that? How much of a driving force was that?
I think it drove the whole program. It's what really got it initiated, starting with Sputnik, and then their launches after that.
That scared the hell out of us, didn't it? I mean, when they launched Sputnik,
it appeared to have done that. You know, I have to admit, I was a fighter pilot at the time, and I was in Europe, and we had some other concerns about that time, and it frankly did not make a big impression on me. That shows how close I was not really to the space program.
But I think it scared.
It certainly did.
Scared the devil out of the administration at the time.
And there was competition leading right on up to the commitment to go to the moon.
Was it ever a factor of so much competition that perhaps they were pushing it a little too hard and too fast, cutting corners?
I don't think so.
You're hesitating. I find that interesting.
Well, we moved at the most rapid pace we could. When we had the fire, we recovered from that relatively quickly in comparison to the recovery from the Challenger accident. A number of missions were eliminated that were Block 1 missions that were going to be that same spacecraft that was involved in the fire. We jumped immediately to Block 2, and we just did just the bare minimum number of missions needed to qualify the command module and the lunar module to land. And we had about 2 missions to spare. If we'd flown in July and didn't make it, we had 2 more opportunities to try and make it to the moon before the end of '69.
Let me broaden the discussion out a little bit, Andrew, and start with you. What was gained by landing on the moon? Beyond enormous prestige, great pride, a feeling that something mankind has always wanted to do has finally been accomplished. What was achieved?
Right. Well, on the most basic level, we became a spacefaring species. We showed that we, you know, as Neil Armstrong said in that clip, we were no longer confined to just one planet. And that in itself is not just the achievement of one nation, it's an evolutionary milestone for the entire human species. In a more specific sense, we learned so much about the moon and about the solar system. The moon is our Rosetta Stone for understanding how the Earth and the solar system came to be. We got enormous technological advantage out of it. Microelectronics and computers, those were all spurred by Apollo. And I think, finally, we got a spiritual lift out of going to the moon. We had a mountaintop experience for the entire human race. When we look back, I say we because all of us saw the pictures and heard the voices coming to us.
Well, here's the man who actually experienced the event. What would your answer to the same question?
I think there's a bit more to it than that. We have the end of the Cold War now. In 1991, no one really expected that we're going to see the turn of the century with the Soviet Union in the position that they're in now. And I think it's because we made that commitment and we carried that through. And it made a distinct impression on the Soviets, maybe more so than anyone else, that we would do that. And then later on, when we might make another commitment to build a defense against the threatening aspect of intercontinental missiles.
You're talking about the whole Star Wars program.
I'm talking about the potential of making another commitment of advancing our abilities in that direction, whatever you want to call it. They knew, Gorbachev knew that they couldn't win that race either, and he had to change direction. Now, a lot of people aren't going to agree with that, but the fact of the matter is we don't have that Cold War going on now. And I think that history eventually is going to say it's because we had the guts to make that kind of a commitment, and despite what was going on in Southeast Asia, and despite the fire, we carried through with that commitment.
I need to ask you one more quick question. Try and give me a concise answer. Have we lived up to the promise of that day 30 years ago?
Well, we talked about competition a little bit ago. When you compete, you do something to get there in a hurry, and without really realizing it, we built in the gradual demise of the Apollo program by not building into it a gradual build-up into sustainability. We threw everything away that was part of that rocket, and now we're still trying to bring the cost down of rocket launches. And the only way you're going to do that is through reusability. But that's a barrier now because we've got expendable rockets, and nobody wants to put those rockets out of business by having something that you don't have to keep building one after another.
Andrew, I know you're twitching to get in, but I'm afraid we're out of time. And so, Andrew Chaikin and Buzz Aldrin, again, congratulations to you. It's a great thrill to have you here this evening, and thank you both very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Another piece of space history back in the news when we come back.
Welcome to HelpCore, the service specialists. All of our operators are currently assisting other customers. Please hold. If this is an alert, welcome to please hold.
Before you go here. Whether you want immediate answers or help, at go.com, the solution is always available.
Need brakes? Get the best in the business to install them. And a lifetime guarantee honored at every Midas nationwide. Go safely. Go Midas.
Yeah, I've been having this problem with my girlfriend. It's
diarrhea. Get it, and you want it gone.
Really good listener.
Imodium Advanced combines 2 medicines that relieve diarrhea plus cramps and bloating faster.
Was I right to invite my mom to my honeymoon?
Absolutely. Imodium Advanced.
Customer service? Yeah. No need to check. We always have that in stock. Come on down. We're open till 7.
Before you go here. Whether you're checking stock or arranging delivery, at go.com, your time is yours.
ABC is America's broadcasting company, home of America's most respected journalists.
You can get them with a good story. We're not historians, we're journalists.
Unparalleled strength.
Polls have shown that this country would accept registration of firearms. You want to have an honest conversation? Let's have an honest conversation.
Exclusive interviews, seamless reporting from broadcast to broadcast.
There's always a place for original reporting.
It's why more Americans get their news from ABC News. ABC News, part of America's broadcasting company.
Only one candidate for mayor is already fighting crime, Jay West. As vice mayor, Jay West helped Phil Bredesen hire 200 more police. And it was Jay West who passed the law that evicts drug dealers from public housing projects. As mayor, Jay West will put a computer in every police car and expand the use of hotspot computer targeting to stop crime before it happens, using technology to protect Nashville. Jay West for mayor, looking ahead.
Just for feet. For all the best K-Swiss has to offer, like the classic casual shoe for men, women, and kids. Check out the newest in casual K-Swiss, like the Lanark or the North Rosa. For the best in performance tennis footwear, the Defier GSX. Or connect up with our best K-Swiss buys. $19.99 for the Surf and Turf. Where the 13th beer is free.
8 years before Armstrong and Aldrin set foot on the moon, astronaut Gus Grissom became the second American in space. But after he splashed down, the hatch blew. Water rushed in and Grissom swam away to safety. But the capsule was too heavy for the helicopter to lift, and it sank to the bottom of the ocean, 3 miles down. It sat there for 38 years until early this morning, when a Discovery Channel mission retrieved the Liberty Bell 7 capsule. Among the items found inside, 7 mercury dimes Gus Grissom had carried into space. And that's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
Nightline has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABCNews.com, now a part of the Go Network.
You know, some men, they just know all the right moves.
I think you kind of like me.
Others, not so much.
Yeah, you know, you keep laughing like that, you know, the odds become slimmer that I'll take you home and have sex with you.
That never stopped them. 2 guys and a girl and Norm are both moving to new times starting at 8, 7 Central. See you Wednesday on ABC.
Watch Ann Holt on News 2 at 5 and 6.
Ladies and gentlemen, the star of Politically Incorrect, Bill Maher. Bill's guest tonight, and your winner, Riesel Zappa, Jeffrey Ross, and Monica Crowley.
Okay, hey, they're happy today. I know why you're happy. You know that our state, California,